as you just stated, there seems to be a great tendency in many communities at this point in time to be somewhat obsessed with discussing being connected to God. Very observable in the New Age movement. And other places for that matter. Same thing in church. There's a lot of discussion of it, but it doesn't seem... it may be fair to say that these people are missing the most essential point.
Well, I don't remember who said that the devil is most properly visible in the temples of God. And this discussion business is actually the it's really one of the ways to avoid doing the work. It's so much easier to talk about the work than actually do the work. It's so much easier to discuss the connection you might have with God in the future than trying to connect with God now. And my favorite saying about this, a quote from, I've forgotten who said this: spirituality is not a course in literature. And spirituality, any authentic spirituality, is entirely about action. It's certainly not about intellectualizing future action or talking about anything. It's about going and doing it. So, you want to talk about God? Don't talk about God. Sit and meditate. If you feel like not meditating, get up and do whatever you need to do. But don't talk about it. Talking is a very interesting excuse. It's interesting to the ego, but it doesn't really accomplish much. Now, we're human beings, we like to talk, and there's nothing wrong with talking. And what we're doing right now is talking.
Mm-hmm.
But let not that be the whole thing. You know, and you know, you can hear multiple talkers around. I mean, I remember this one fellow who, you know, wanted to get initiation from me, and he was telling me one story after another, but the biggest story I saw was that he was diabetic eating ice cream. You know, and I asked him, why is he doing that? And he had no real answer, because he was actually not aware that he was eating ice cream. I mean, of course, he was aware that he was enjoying ice cream, but his weakness for ice cream was more important to him than the fact that he's going to die soon of his diabetes. And for me, this is, you know, an interesting evidence of lack of love, because his habit of eating sugary things is more important than his care for his children, his wife, who will be drastically affected by his diseased state. So he would be much rather eating ice cream than taking care of his relatives. And I'm not judging him really, I'm just giving this as an example, but that's an interesting example. How many times our priorities are crazy. So you walk into a church, and a church is a temple of God. But actually most churches are temples of gossip, of intellectualizing about God, and they're social clubs. And if you actually ask them how much they pray, what is the prayer life in your church, is a very serious question to ask, the most important question to ask. And also observe your fellow parishioners when they pray, you know, and see what they're actually doing. And ask your minister to pray long. How about half an hour prayer? See how bored people will be. A real spiritual person will not be bored from talking to God. They will either try to find a new way to pray, not to be bored, or they will not be bored. So when you sit for meditation, same thing. A meditation which is properly aligned in the right direction will not be boring. If it is not aligned properly, if you're forcing it, well, some discipline is good, but it's the same thing. It's evidence that something is off. And coming back to talking thing, is I think particularly American society, I don't know much about European society, and it's also quite diverse there. In the United States, people like to talk. 9/11 happened, let's talk about it. Something else happened, let's talk about it. And like you turn on TV, everybody is just talking. And for me, the news is like this. Something happened, what is your response? Not talking, what have you done about it? Have a toothache, go to the dentist. A heartache, go to a psychotherapist. Don't sit there and discuss it. Although, well, of course, sometimes discussion is very good. So don't take this in a literal way, because it's the same thing. Same thing. Everything has appropriate outlet. How appropriate that I'm sitting on a broken sofa. Maybe we should throw the sofa. No, don't throw it. Actually, before we fix the sofa, we need to get a drill from my parents. So you can drill holes and then fix it. And we will discover that our sofa was always broken.